Fiducia, and etc. Example of most recent and relevant projects include European Center of Vocational Excellence in Microelectronics EQAVET and Erasmus Plus MICROCASA. Dr. Girenko regularly served as an external quality assurance expert to various Erasmus projects, as well as proposal, evaluation expert, and rapporteur to the EC. Thank you, Doctor. We may start our virtual session now.
Thank you, Razia. Sorry. Thank you, Razia, for the introduction, for the organization, and I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to meet, at least virtually. I really, I'm jealous to my colleagues who can enjoy the warmth of Malaysia, Indonesia, and the region. Here in Germany, we have almost freezing temperatures, so I would say that this is the
Andrey, we are not seeing your video, your face. They want to know you.
Okay, then I just do it. Sorry,
okay.
I thought I was trying
Start your video.
I was trying to save the
screen. The screen.
Can you see me now?
Okay. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Sorry for that. I was trying to save the connectivity, but yeah. Again, happy to be present in your room, although it's only virtual. I have a great pleasure of presenting some initial information, I would say, about European quality assurance frameworks. EQAVET will be there for sure, it's one of them, but I want to have a kind of broader presentation of the existing quality assurance frameworks, including the one for higher education, because EQAVET is, according to the name, VET stands for Vocational Education and Training. The framework which is very suitable for micro-credentials when it comes to quality assurance. Okay, then I want to say that I'm last presenter today, so there is one. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I will try to be short. I will try not to get you bored with my presentation. That is why I'm starting right now. Okay. Okay, what I want to touch upon in my presentation, short introduction, then I would give a glimpse on the European quality assurance framework in higher education, because we speak about universities. Then there will be some slides about European quality assurance framework for vocational education and training, EQAVET, which was standing in the initial title of my presentation. And then I would just share with you some information about the status quo of the European discussions on quality assurance for micro-credentials. So we are pretty much in the beginning of this discussion, but still we already capable of presenting some information about it. Introduction. First of all, the question is why quality of education actually matters. So I would say that this question for us might sound like stupid, but anyway, we need to ask ourselves this. I just quote here the OECD source. You can see the link there. Educational failure penalizes individuals for lifetime and also the society as a whole. When we speak about bad education, school education, kids leaving schools cannot continue their education and end up with the poor set of professional skills. They cannot have a good professional career. They cannot take challenging, innovative jobs. And then they end up with the low-paid jobs and low life perspectives. Just some statistics from Germany. In Germany, if you have, let's say, if you stop your education after the school, having let's say, special technical education like a carpenter or a plumber, You can start earning money pretty early. You can start having even your business pretty early. And then when people still sit in the universities and learn, and generally people learn in universities quite long, age of 25, 26 for a graduate is normal. Carpenters and plumbers, they can already have houses, cars, and earn money. But statistics shows that people with high education actually earn money longer, and integrally through lifetime, they earn more. So good education, quality education awards you with quality of life. At the same time, failure of education imposes high cost on the society. Society, economy doesn't have good labor force. It cannot innovate and cannot develop on a good pace. And finally, investing in quality assurance, in this case, pays off for all stakeholders. According to the Schultz human capital theory, investing in quality education is a major condition for the development. And if we speak about United Nations development, sustainable development goals, quality of education is actually goal number 4. So pretty early in the list. We will speak today about quality of education, quality assurance in education. What is this? According to the European Commission, quality assurance involves the systematic review of educational provision to maintain and improve its quality, equity, and efficiency. Actually, quality and equity always go hand by hand. So this is important to remember. So quality of education, quality assurance encompasses educational establishment self-evaluation, external evaluation, including inspection, the evaluation of teachers and school leaders, and student assessment. As you see already in this definition, the European Commission speaks about different levels of quality assurance. Quality assurance is implemented on the level of educational system as a whole. So in all countries in Europe, but also in, I think it's a global phenomenon. Of course, there are laws and there are regulations for which are govern the educational systems, and they also include aspects of quality. There are systems for accreditation of educational providers. There are many other measures and instruments on the national levels which contribute to the quality assurance systems. But also on the level of educational providers or education providers. And I made it bold because later in the presentation we will say that education providers is the main entity here. These institutions, they are responsible for the quality of education they provide, and then they're made a main counterpart for those who need education, to our students, to our school children, school pupils, and that is why I made it bold. On the level of educational programs like bachelor master programs, we also can observe various measures related to quality assurance. This is also, for instance, things like national qualification frameworks, which allow us to distinguish what is master program, what is bachelor or doctoral program, and on the other levels. On the level of subject, of course, we can observe quality assurance measures like student assessment, teachers assessment, like many other things we will speak later in the presentation. So quality assurance goes through all levels of educational systems and is visible and present everywhere. Yeah, quality assurance in microcredentials. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? First of all, microcredential, if we look at the definition, what is microcredential? This is a definition of UNESCO, which is very consistent with the definition in the European Council recommendation microcredentials, so European kind of definition. If you look in 2 bullets out of 4, quality assurance is explicit. First of all, microcredentials include assessment. Assessment, it's a major quality assurance tool based on clearly defined standards. Standards underpin quality assurance because they allow us to distinguish between quality, what is not quality, and is awarded by a trusted provider. Trust is in the center of the acceptance of microcredentials. We will speak about it further, that acceptance of microcredentials to a greater degree depends not on the framework, not on the regulation, not on the rules and all discussions we have right now, but rather on the trust of employers. If an employer will trust that this certificate really guarantees that the person who owns this certificate can demonstrate competences which are listed there, this will be accepted. Otherwise, it will not. And finally, the fourth bullet, if you see, of course, quality assurance is here explicitly. Meets the standards required by relevant quality assurance. So, no quality assurance, no microcredential. What I said is related to quality underpins acceptance. This is a central aspect for the central barrier for the proliferation of microcredentials. It's a trust in them. And trust is normally based on proven quality and transparency. So if you about to employ a person and the person displays that he is owning the diploma of the University of Oxford, you would consider this candidate for the position pretty relevant because you trust that University of Oxford provides quality education. And this trust is based on thousands of years of proven quality and excellence. Yeah, and finally, I go to the first point in my presentation, and this is European Quality Assurance Framework for Higher Education. And first of all, how things work in Europe, we need to understand. European Union, it's a union, confederation of states where every state delegates to the union a particular part of its sovereignty and retains other parts of the sovereignty. And in this case, education is not delegated to the union level. So countries, all members of the European Union, they are maintaining their sovereignty over their educational systems. It means there are no laws on the European level which are compulsory for all countries when it comes to education. This makes the cohesion process between educational systems in different European countries based on the system of recommendations. And the countries, they have a freedom to implement, accept recommendations or not to do so. At the same time, when it comes to education and the quality of education in particular, it underpins the fundamental basis of the union, where also there are compulsory things. And that is why we can have, Europe has a very diverse system of higher education. And moreover, when we speak about European higher education area, it extends far beyond the borders of the European Union. Right now, we speak about more than 40 countries which are belonging to the European higher education area. This is the countries on the accession stage to the European Union, but also neighboring countries which are looking in this direction. Countries in North Africa, countries in Middle Asia, but also in Eastern Europe. So, when we speak about cohesion in quality assurance, this is a prerequisite for having a solid common Labor market policy, and this is already what is delegated to the EU level. Without cohesion in quality assurance, there is no opportunity for recognition of diplomas, mobility of people, professional mobility, and this is very important. And also I put here on the slide the institution. It's actually a European Association for Quality Assurance in Higher Education, because normally it's not only recommendation, the document which is accepted, for instance, by the European Council, but also the structure which is pushing through the national governments, through national systems, the European recommendations. In this case, it's NQA. Okay. Standards and guidelines for quality assurance in higher education and European higher education area. They were first published in 2003, and they were signed by all governments of the Bologna process. It's a sort of commitment saying that we will harmonize the quality assurance mechanism on our higher education systems, which is based on the commonly accepted set of standards and procedures. In February 2005, this document, Standards and Guidelines for Quality Assurance in European Higher Education Area, was published. It went through several revisions until now. The last document which already in use was published in 2015. And all standards and guidelines are grouped into three parts, addressing different parts of the education system. The part one relates to the standards and guidelines for quality assurance system on the level of institutions, on the level of universities. How a university can organize its internal quality assurance system, and what kind of procedures it can be implemented, there can be implemented. Again, I want to underline that this is recommendations. In every country, in every institution, they're implemented in a different way, which creates a huge diversity. But in Europe, diversity is perceived as an asset rather than disadvantage. Yeah, in this part, there are 7 standards and guidelines. Every standard has also kind of implementation section where the potential procedures and mechanism for implementing the standards are presented. First of all institutions are advised to have explicit and publicly available institutional policy and procedures for quality assurance. It shouldn't be secret, so it should be published and made available for the community. Approval, monitoring, periodic reports of program and awards. This is clear. So also I think in Malaysia and in Indonesia, all academic programs in a cyclic way are subject to monitoring, review, and approval. So you cannot start teaching something without going through these things. You need to have assessment of students. And this goes beyond typical formative, summative assessment where people receive marks, students receive marks, and it goes as a diploma supplement. You need to assess their self-feeling, their experience with educational measures, their perception of teachers and the quality of their education. Also, it's important to measure. Quality assurance of teaching staff. There should be measures allowing universities to continuously improve the quality of teaching staff and constantly monitor this quality. Learning resources and student support. Definitely, the quality here is important to provide modern, technology-based, science-based education, and there should be measures to evaluate and assess what kind of resources and student support the university has. Of course, information systems. No university now without solid electronic libraries, without electronic resources, without learning management systems and all these things. And of course, public information. The results of quality assurance collected through these previous standards should be made publicly available, and the society should see what kind of quality of education the institution provides. The part 2 of the European standards for external quality assurance, they relate, for quality assurance, they relate to external quality assurance of higher education. External means that educational providers, they're assessed, and their quality services are assessed by external bodies. The procedures which we know as accreditation. Accreditation is important because it provides a kind of unified quality across the different educational providers, so the quality of the system as a whole. First of all, it also has 8 standards. The first of them is related to that external evaluation procedure should take into account this internal quality assurance procedures which we just discussed in the previous slide. So it's not something that accreditation agency will come to your institution and will start checking completely according to the new and unknown to you procedures. They should make use of those procedures which you have in place in your institution. The development of external quality assurance process should be public, transparent, and published, available for the community. They should include clearly and transparent criteria for decision making. So again, nothing which you're not aware of should be used against you. The process should fit for the purpose. So, it means that you don't need to use something really over heavily or complicated. The goal of the external quality assurance is just to prove that the institution which is subject to external quality assurance has in place internal, efficient, and effective quality assurance procedures. Not more than that. Of course, reporting should be reported to all stakeholders in a transparent and comprehensive way. There should be clearly follow-up procedure. What if the quality assessment of the institution shows particular, let's say, drawbacks? What should happen then? It should have a cyclic nature. Normally, it's 5, 6, 7 years, depending on the national regulation, and it should contribute to the system-wide analysis. And again, unified procedures for external quality assurance, they can contribute to the building a picture of the system as a whole. The third part of the European standards for external quality assurance relates to the assurance agency. Actually, the recommendations are very clear that the quality assurance agencies in European higher education area should be independent from the government and from the education providers. They should be in between. This independence guarantees kind of objective, unbiased assessment, and I would say in the majority of European Union cases, this recommendation is already respected. So if you go to the website of ENQA, you can find the interface where you can find all quality assurance agencies in all countries and see to what extent they are independent. At the same time, independence should be supported. So again, this independence should take into account the standards and procedures and guidelines for internal and external quality assurance, which we saw in 2 previous slides. These agencies must have an official status. It must be recognized by all stakeholders. They must be recognized by the state and must be recognized by universities. They should have a clearly defined scope of activities. They do only things they have mandate for. They should have adequate and necessary resources to do their job, which relates to human resources and financial resources. They should have a clearly defined mission statement and must stay within this mission statement. Independence, as I said, it's more or less a requirement nowadays. After after 20 years of implementing, finally this standard is almost universally respected. There also these agencies should also have clearly defined quality assurance standards for themselves. They should demonstrate that they do their job in a quality way. And of course, accountability procedures. What would happen if the agency made a mistake? There should be the opportunities for universities to complain against the decisions made by agencies if they believe that this is not justified. So this is how it works on the European level. Sorry, it probably took a bit too long, but anyway. I'm now going into the direction of vocational education and training. This is a more difficult area than higher education, because in higher education, the standards, they evolved and developed more or less universally, globally, through, I would say, centuries. Let's say, the vision, what a university is kind of commonly agreed and shared. When it comes to vocational education and training, here there is a huge diversity of views, approaches, standards, practices, and actually on the European level, this process is still ongoing. I mean, cohesion in this area. It started later, and it's still ongoing, and many things are to be done. Recommendations are not implemented to the extent as it was done for the higher education systems. And again, similar to higher education, in vocational education in training, recommendations, they're coming together with a structure. There is EQAVET network. It's a structure on the EU level represented by agencies in the member states, which are responsible for implementing the recommendations. Yeah, why that in the context of micro-credentials? Because in my view, and I think it's shared universally, that micro-credentials are even more relevant to vocational education and training than to classical higher education. Micro-credentials, they certified very clearly defined competence, professional skill, which are important for employment. So that is why for the vocational education and training, this is a very natural tool, which was there already for long. So it's micro-credential is nothing new, as we keep saying, but that is why looking how quality assurance is done in this particular area is interesting and important for universities as well to share the experience. And quality assurance is a challenge in vocational education and training because of this diversity. And this system is much more open. So there is a much higher diversity of providers on different European qualification framework levels, EQF levels, while higher education covers only 3 levels. It's bachelor, I mean, I'm simplifying, bachelor, master, doctor. There are 5 more levels below, and this is where vocational education training has a kind of monopoly. So this is much more complicated because of diversity. This system is more open, less regulated, and when you have a more open, less regulated system, quality assurance is always a a challenge. So this is the link I put also on the slide where you can download the European Council recommendation, which includes the full description of EQAVET framework, which is set of particular quality standards and descriptors, defining, advising, let's say, different stakeholders on the level of national level, VET level, and on level of VET providers, how to ensure the quality. And EQAVET is based on this cyclic 4-step system where you need to look into the 4 stages of any educational intervention, starting from planning, then implementation, assessment, and review. It's based on the selection of descriptors and quality indicators applicable for quality management at both VET system and VET provider level. Further in my presentation, I will touch upon only VET provider level because it's more relevant to universities and to our context of micro-credentials. First of all, quality criteria. QC stands for quality criteria. 1 stands for phase 1. It means this is phase of planning. When you still plan the course or plan the educational program. And the quality criteria says that planning reflects a strategic vision shared by relevant stakeholders and includes explicit goals, objectives, action, indicators. It means that before starting developing the course or program which will grant micro-credentials, you need to have a clear consensus between different stakeholders that this program or this course addresses the needs, so there are needs. It also in line with the national, European, and regional policy goals. For the development, you have quantitative and qualitative goals and targets. So you want to have, let's say, this duration of course. This is targeting this particular training needs for this particular category of learners, and you expect this number of learners. So you should have a clear design phase. Design of the course should be done in consultations and with direct involvement of all relevant stakeholders. Here and further down, we will speak about co-creation as a fundamental element of assuring quality of micro-credentials, involving potential employers, involving trainers, representative of trainers and trainees, students and university teachers, maybe parents, maybe other stakeholders, economic players who are important for success of the course leading to micro-credentials is an important quality aspect. At the same time, when we speak about development of the course or intervention, allocation of quality assurance responsibilities must be explicit. Who is responsible for that in the course? Further down, you need to ensure that early involvement of teachers and administrative staff in the course development is provided. They are important stakeholders. They must be there. Those who will teach the course should have a share in the development. VET providers has an explicit and transparent quality assurance system in place. So it's more typical in VET than in higher education that VET providers, they have institutional quality assurance systems, for instance, compliant with quality standards ISO 9000 family. So if you have this, it allows you to implement quality assurance in a structured way and bring results. If not, still it makes sense to look how it works. And of course, planning is compliant with the major national regulations in Europe. This is GDPR, which relates to private data and how you deal with the information about your learners, about your students, about teachers, and in the way which is compliant with the regulation. Dealing with private personal information is a big deal in Europe nowadays. When it comes to quality criteria 2, this is a phase of implementation. When you develop the course and when you deliver the course, clear, in order to make it in a quality way, there should be resource planning done, which is sufficient, which is necessary to achieve goals and targets. Requirements regarding teaching staff competences are present. So you need to have teachers who are suitable or who are prepared to teach this particular course, and they're actually equipped to do so. At the same time, they should have opportunities to improve their professional competences, and if something is missing, to be still fit for the course. Again, here you can see that EQAVET recommendations, they include the need to cooperate with external stakeholders. And actually, external stakeholders can be involved in all stages of life cycle of a course, starting from the planning through the development. For instance, you can invite experts from industry while you develop an micro-credentials targeting particular industrial competence with their materials. So they might be providers of teaching materials, examples, use cases, maybe some illustrative or regulatory materials. But even further, when you teach the course, they can become teachers, at least for the part of the course. Part of the course can be delivered in the industrial settings. It can be done also combining, as you see in the hybrid mode, physical presence and online component, which was also done using the industrial, in this case, participants. Important element is the use of modern didactic and teaching methods, let's say a learner-centered approach, which would allow you to respond directly to the learning needs of trainers. Innovative teaching and learning methods, including electronic technology-enhanced learning or educational technology, is also important to ensure the quality. And of course, you should think about including modern and efficient methods for learner progress in the course measurements, like summative and formative assessment methods and tools. When it comes to the validation of outcomes and processes, so it's phase 3 in this cycle, it's compulsory, more or less, to have self-assessment. Self-assessment of the institutions, course providers, but also students and teaching staff. So having this kind of user satisfaction surveys, measurement, what students actually think about your course, about the teachers, about the relevance, and what kind of added value the course brings to a student is necessary to ensure its quality. It's also, many other aspects which we will look into this a bit later and practically. Again, external stakeholders. For the assessment of the course, involvement of external stakeholders is useful and complementary. It can be done by, for instance, when you have exams or practical demonstration of skills to involve potential employers, and just to have this perspective in the evaluation. Also, this criteria involves early warning system. This is also includes not only a system of formative evaluations, assessments in the course, but also this different surveys, surveys which would include not only learners, but also, for instance, parents and other stakeholders, just to detect that something goes wrong with a particular individual early enough and to take corrective measures. Finally, the review. When the program is over, when the learners, they received their micro-credentials or any other certificates of their learning achievements, you can go into the review phase, where learners can provide also integral feedback on the learning experience. In general, we speak about this methodology because it's quite common in business. Developing products, companies base their development on customer experience. And here the same, education becomes a product, a good. And to make it quality, you should apply the same methods. You should have learner experience in the center of your development and quality assurance. Together with teachers, trainers, or relevant stakeholders, feedback is used to inform further actions. It means the results of the review should not reside in the books or on paper. It should enable future actions. You should come back to the planning phase and look whether your planning was right. And for the next round, you can adjust your planning, correcting training needs, correcting the resource allocation, and all other aspects which we spoke before. Review results are transparent. This is not a closed system. It should be, all stakeholders should be informed about the results of the review. This is the same to enable the new round of course life cycle with a better quality. Yeah. Practice of discussion, open and constructive discussion with all stakeholders is also important. Again, co-creation in the center. Well, I also try to put together some KPIs you can use when you develop a course, which would help you to measure the quality of the course and become a part of the quality assurance mechanisms. Yeah, this is, again, they are numbered, you can see it. It's about share of teachers in training who got prepared for this course development and delivery. Traditional things like completion rate or dropout rate. Placement rate, it's already more difficult because it's a result of a review where you can already see how the course influenced the employability of the learners and how it helped them to get the jobs which are relevant and corresponded to their new competences. Also, it's already further down the line when your alumni work already in the professions, and then you can already, through surveys, measure to what extent the course helped them with their professional skills. Unemployment rate, and also KPIs related to addressing the needs of vulnerable groups of populations, like, for instance, people from, I would say, disadvantaged social groups, or disabled people, or any other vulnerable groups which you might identify. So I just want to show how all these theoretical things can be translated into the very practical tool which you can use, for instance, when you deal with course developers, and ask them the questions which would give you a kind of feeling to what extent this course, the whole process of developing the course, was compliant with the EQAVET recommendations and how course developers took into account these recommendations. For many, it might be also the checklist where you just go through the questions and you can see, okay, I did it, I didn't do it, and there should be an explanation why I didn't do it, whether I just forgot to do it or there was a reason for not doing that. Yeah, this is the link. I tried to switch to the questionnaire, and I can also use this time to say that this was done together with Chimay, with Manuela and Federica. Second. Yeah. Now we should see the Google form with the questionnaire. Can you see it? Okay. So this is a questionnaire which we used. I mean, of course, with some adaptation in a project where we asked the course developers about the measures they took in the developing delivery of the course, which are compliant with EQAVET recommendations. First of all, of course, we collect the, I would say, demographics information. Who is the teacher? Who is the course developer? And what kind of course they develop? Contact. Then the questionnaire is structured according to the EQAVET phases. The first phase, as we said, it's a planning phase. We ask the first question: have relevant stakeholders, business, science, education, policy, taken part in the identification of education and training needs? Yes, no. Have you involved anyone? Or you just decided to do your course yourself? Or was there any consultation? Why it's important? Because sometimes you have a beautiful course with very nice materials, with all quality assurance measures inside, formative, summative evaluations, questionnaires, with beautiful educational technologies and learner-centered approaches, but eventually you have no students, or you have no trainers, trainees, because the topic you propose in the course is not of interest. So no, you need to be sure that you address the real needs, training needs. If yes, provide evidences. Everywhere we try to ask people just to explain why they made this choice. The question also about quality assurance systems, institutional quality assurance systems. For instance, I saw 9000 certification, whether your institution has or not any other institutional quality assurance systems, which might be also ad hoc. Do you plan to grant microcredentials as a result of the course? This is sometimes a provocative question, because we learn that in many cases people don't know what is microcredential. And of course, in many countries, this is still a very new thing and not very well regulated, and people are, let's say, reluctant to speak about microcredentials. They use traditional forms of, let's say, certificates, institutional certificates, which are not microcredentials. Section 2, of course, it's not comprehensive list of questions. We try to make it as short as possible. You can extend it, include new questions, look into the criteria, and come up with new questions which would allow you to solicit more information about the development, our planning phase. When it comes to the development phase, we ask teachers whether they use new learner-centered methods like active learning, problem solving, competence co-creation, etc. Yes, no, they need to explain what kind of actually methods they use. Do you plan using the digital technology enhanced learning or educational technology? Yes, no. If yes, what? What kind of methods you plan to use to assess individuals learning outcomes, what kind of formative, summative evaluations you plan to use in the course. We also asked them whether, because this was an international survey, to what extent they have national institutional regulations defining the framework for learning outcome assessment. So sometimes they have no freedom to decide. It's prescribed. And again, have you involved external stakeholders in the course development? So have you consulted or have you received any materials which you incorporate in your course? Anything which demonstrate the involvement of external stakeholders can be presented here. The section evaluation of processes and outcomes, it's EQAVET criterion 3. Again, do you use self-assessment tools for course piloting and after pilot delivery? For example, questionnaires for learner satisfaction, questionnaires for trainer performance, trainer satisfaction. It's also a good thing if you ask teachers, are they satisfied with the course? Is it comfortable? Do they believe that this gives an added value to the students? And other tools. Again, external stakeholders. Do you have explicit KPIs? This is a thing which is rarely used in education, in higher education in particular, KPIs. But in vocational education and training, they're more keen on having KPIs. Yeah, early warning system. So this follows more or less the list of criteria. And this is section 4. It's related to the phase of review. The course is delivered, is done, and now the question: who provided you feedback about the course? Learner, trainer, external stakeholders, but also you can indicate others. And you also explain in which form and how. How will you use the collected feedback? So what you collected some feedback, you had questionnaires, you had interviews, you have qualitative and quantitative information. How would you use it? For what? And then also options you can tick. And then we also try to ask people for a kind of more narrative feedback. Why do you believe that your course is innovative? What is new there? Why you believe that this course is appreciated by your learners? And things like that you can also include in your survey. Okay. I try to return to my presentation. Okay, this was EQAVET. Okay, I hope I'm on time. Quality assurance for microcredentials, status quo. What is actually happening now? I would just base this presentation on 3 sources. First of all, it's European Council recommendation on microcredentials. This is a fundamental document. It's the first Europe-wide document which defined what is microcredential actually, and what should be done in order to make it implemented and integrated in our educational systems. It gives the definition. It defines above all the I wouldn't say compulsory, but the standard elements describing microcredentials, which also include explicitly quality assurance related elements. So in this recommendation, you can also download this and look into this. There's a list of standard elements also addressing issues of quality assurance. There's also the process which is supported by a project, QA. It's done mainly by the European Association for Quality Assurance in Higher Education. There was already multiple quotation from the MicroBall project, which was a fundamental for the setting up the European Council recommendation. And Chimea was one of the key members of the MicroBall consortium. And again, I can return you to the challenges of quality assurance for microcredentials. The main challenge is that the recommendation and the practice is that microcredentials will be provided and are provided by a diversity of providers, going well beyond the framework of traditional education system. Companies will have a chance to grant microcredentials. Non-academic training providers, VET providers, and control quality in this ecosystem is a challenge. That is why it's important to speak about standards. Anyway, even speaking about standards, we need to expect that trust in microcredentials will come with practice, with time. Okay, some data defining microcredentials and quality assurance policies on the national level. You can see also huge diversity and range in perception. CDFOP, it's a major organization collecting statistical information about labor markets and respective education. The survey which they launched among national education authorities resulted that 55% of respondents in national education authorities confirmed that term microcredential is not used at all in national education systems. So still, it's a lot to be done to improve this. But at the same time, 38 respondents confirmed that a different term that fits with EU definition is adopted. It means, again, we come to the point that microcredential is nothing new. It's there. It was there for years, for decades. But we need to, now we speak about mainly standards and explicit harmonization across different microcredential providers, which would allow comparison and integration microcredential into traditional educational systems. The chart below demonstrates the status of activities directed towards development revision of policies for quality assurance of microcredentials. So majority of respondents confirm that the discussions started. So it means that there's no conclusion, there's no action plan, there's no decision yet, but the discussion is already ongoing. In some cases, there are already some results, which results like draft policy, concrete plans to start this drafting. And there are also respondents saying that there is no need for nothing new, there is no need for policy changes because microcredentials, they're already covered by existing policies. When it comes to, again, to the CDFOP survey of national authorities, only 36% respondents confirm that microcredentials are referred to strategic policy documents in our country. So it means that only in 36% cases, there are some policy documents, strategic visions, which refer to microcredentials explicitly. In our case, I would say that there is a country, it's called Armenia. It's a small South Caucasus countries where we soon will start a new project where there is a strategy for covering development of education for next 10 years, and then microcredentials are there. But in many other countries, it's not the case. And even more astonishing is the second figure. 30% of respondents in national authorities said that I'm unsure about the topic and I don't know what you speak about. So this is also speaks about low level of awareness about microcredentials and the development in this area, which we can observe. Important instrument in Europe is so-called national qualification frameworks. It's documents, and actually this is a framework which defines what kind of levels of educations can be obtained and recognized in the country. I don't know whether things like that exist in Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, the partners in this project, but in Europe it's compulsory things on the national level, but also there is a European qualification framework, EQAVET, which kind of provide how to say it, harmonization layer over the national qualification frameworks. It's observed, and many respondents actually confirmed that there is a strong link between quality assurance and national qualification frameworks. Inclusion of microcredentials into national qualification frameworks is one of the central European Council recommendations. So if microcredential is explicitly incorporated in national qualification framework, it creates a legal ground for its recognition by different stakeholders, including higher education, which enables in the turn the transferability of microcredentials, their stackability, contribution to the traditional degree-oriented educational programs. And many countries are still on the early stage of implementation of integration of microcredentials in national qualification frameworks. Actually, there are examples, but it's already there in some cases, but in the majority of countries, it still needs to be done. One of the aspects which also in the community under discussion, how to ensure the quality of microcredentials, is to have different registers and catalogs, which would allow to include only those microcredentials and their providers who meet the quality criteria. So in this case, you see that there are opportunities to have national or European catalogs of microcredentials providers and microcredentials, the courses. But here in this chart, you see about the status of discussions. And discussions, in many cases, people believe that, yes, there is a need for such a register. Other people or other experts or other educational authorities, they actually said that we have registers and we need just to extend that by including microcredentials providers. The others say that we don't need new registers because they're already there. So, and we will use the existing ones. And these people, I mean, we speak about this was a survey among individuals. So it's people who provided this information. Others say that they don't see in general the need for any registers or catalogs. And there are people who are undecided. When it comes to catalogs of microcredentials, which are provided by accredited and registered providers, in the majority of cases, people don't have opinion. This is, I don't know. But the kind of general opinion is that having a national register of all microcredentials, it probably goes too far. It's too heavy. It's too microcredentials are too small and might not. These registers will probably not be used or will bring little added value. Another way how one can assure the quality of microcredentials is so-called quality labels. And again, there's a discussion in the community and opinions that granting a quality label to individual
Andrey,
courses.
sorry,
Yes?
sorry for interrupting you. We are running out of time. Perhaps you can wrap up the last few points and we can open for one or two questions from the online
Okay.
and also on-site audience. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You stopped me
Okay.
at exactly two slides.
Oh, okay,
before
good.
that.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, I just say quality labels, external quality assurance like sort of accreditation, whether it's needed or not, there's a split of opinions, yeah? And yeah, internal quality assurance, similar to the things we discuss for higher education institutions. And my conclusions, I can wrap up very fast. Again, in Europe, we have a huge diversity. We are in the beginning of the process. And looking back at the process which led to the coordination and building coherence between high educational quality assurance systems, which took more than 20 years and still not finished. In vocational education training, it's ongoing. When it comes to micro-credentials, we can expect another decade, maybe two, before there will be some European quality assurance standards widely accepted. So we are in the beginning of the journey. In this moment, the consultations, dialogue, and especially with international partners, is also important. That is why we have projects like MICROCASA. And I actually appreciate your time, your attention, and I'm more than happy just to take questions. Okay. Andrey. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Dr. Andrey, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, so I guess there's no questions from the floor and online as well. So thank you again for your session. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, now let me welcome Prof. Amin to say the concluding remarks.